even when we have people here, they might not be doing whatever they're doing that they're going to tell you about on their property, but they notice something. Hey, you ever thought about this? And you learn, and that's kind of what me and Daniel done this weekend is we sit there and just talked about property really, because their property where we were at this weekend is completely different than what we're used to hunting. I mean, it reminded me of when we used to hunt over at Abbeville and 30, when they'd come in and do them big select cuts and burn, and it was standing pines with sage grass and thickets all in it. Like
just big pine plantations.
Big pine plantations, and it's beautiful. And I mean, we've seen a ton of deer, but learning how to manage that type of timber and that type of track versus what we have, we both can gain something from it.
Yeah,
100%.
Hey, welcome back to the Buck Junkies Podcast. Back in studio, wrapping up deer season. What's happening, fellas?
That was almost depressing. I've kind of hunted harder this year, past couple of weeks, than I have. And then we was talking yesterday, and he thought, season's finna be over. And I'm like, dang, I still thought I had another 2-3 weeks, but
we come in late.
It came and went pretty daggone quick.
Does it seem like it went quick to y'all? Because it seems like it's been deer season a long time to me.
It does seem like it went kind of quick, but with the traveling we did and stuff like that, I mean those felt long. Those did, just not being around here. But we hunt around here and stuff. That, I don't know. Time goes by a lot faster.
I probably hadn't hunted a dozen times here because I've had 2 of the outdoor hunts I was on. So that was 3 weekends I was out, and then we was out of town a couple of weekends. So I'm kind of.
Well, that's what we're going to talk about today is going out of town. I figured because we got the chance. Y'all know we like deer camp. That's what I like. I don't know about y'all. Y'all might be more into the solo hunting or whatever, but I like the social aspect of hunting. So going to people's deer camps or having a group here, that's fun to me. And we got the chance. Like, in fact, y'all just rolled in off the road. Y'all been at one the past few days.
I didn't even wake up in my bed this morning.
So we went, I guess it started, this year's deer season started off in Arkansas for me and Mikey. We went to a deer camp. We talked about that back before deer season really got going here. That was fun. And that kind of led us to get the idea. We wanted to bring that group. They invited us to their deer camp. Why couldn't they come to our deer camp? And then we ended up getting to go. Where else did we go? To Alabama for a hunt?
We wound up going to Yazoo, Mississippi.
Yeah. That was
went down to Yazoo in middle December.
That was a good hunt.
Then we wound up going to Alabama just a few weeks ago. And then Mark and Jamie just come back from where?
Greenwood.
What's the name of that town?
Was it outside of Greenwood?
Koala.
It's like south of Greenwood.
It's called Koala.
Koala. Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. So what are y'all's thoughts on getting to go to somebody else's camp? How do y'all approach that? Because it's, one thing, it's an invite.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. It's like, man, I want to go and I want to have a good time, but I want to see what I want to see what another camp's like. Let's see what their woods is like, see what their plots are like, stuff like that.
One of the biggest things, we talked about this before. I think we kind of had this as a controversial topic at one time, about going to somebody else's place, being invited to a hunting camp or a hunting club or something like that. Do you go out there and you pop the first deer you see, or do you, or do you be, how would you hunt it, or how would you approach it if you were actually invited somewhere like that? Especially because some of the places we went were pretty heavily managed places.
Oh, we went down south. I mean, they treated us great. The property was great. Everything was great about it. I mean, I was freaking anxiety, panic attack. I almost didn't want to see deer. I was scared I was going to shoot.
Let's talk about that one. So we were hunting, it was Yazoo County on the Big Black River. It was, it really wasn't close to town. I guess it was close. It was in between kind of Canton and Yazoo City somewhere.
Yeah.
Where we were on the river, and we were hunting a club that it really wasn't a club. It was private owned land.
It's private owned land. It's family owned property.
Pretty much bow hunt only.
That's most of it. 90% of it is bow hunting only.
Had been since the late 80s or 90s,
something like that. They told me the years that they had started doing that, and they strictly bow hunt about 90% of the property, and then they had some little places on the outskirts they would let you rifle hunt, which is what we hunted in.
Yeah.
And
so we didn't get invited to the bow hunt. We got invited to the rifle.
No, we can't shoot a bow.
None of us was going, none of us brought a crossbow or anything like that. We were, kind of told we could bring our rifle. So
yeah.
Anyways, we went to this place, and we kind of knew on the front end that it was very heavily managed, and they were pretty strict about what you were supposed to kill and Anyways, we kind of went down there. We're going to do a little doe management, but, we had the opportunity to shoot those bucks that, a trophy buck if we wanted to, but it was more like management bucks that we were kind of given that we were able to shoot.
What was our parameter? So when we got there, they had pictures of deer on the wall.
Yeah.
Like, these are on the no-kill list.
Yeah.
And by the time they showed us those and showed us some other pictures, you were so confused, or I was, about what I could shoot. I was, man, I don't know.
Yeah, because they had the pictures on the, I guess it was a sliding glass door, wasn't it, Jamie?
Yeah, patio door.
It was on the patio door, so there was deer, do not shoot. And we were told when we got there, the owner wasn't there. One of the owners was there, but it was the son of the main guy. And he said, y'all see that deer? Do not shoot that freaking deer. He's like, they had already told us, if Dad said, if anybody shoots that deer, you can get your crap, leave, and don't ever come back.
I had pretty much figured out I was going to see that deer first. That's just the way my luck goes. He's coming to me, and I'm going to mess up, and I'm going to get us all kicked out. We're not going to be welcome back when that deer steps out.
But this was the first time. This was the second time that I've been invited there. It was the first time that we went.
Yeah.
And anyway, so, meeting new people, new friends, some of them we kind of knew, some of them we didn't know. And, getting to know these people and stuff like that, you was you didn't really know what to expect out of it. You didn't know if you was going to go out there and just see 50 deer and be able to judge them. And, you don't know when you go to somebody else's place.
And this was the rut for them.
Yeah,
it was
this
like
was
prime
a rut
rut
for them, which I don't recommend going to a heavily managed place during a freaking rut. We'll finish the story in a minute.
That is not the time to go.
Not when you have to be that selective about what you're supposed to kill when they're chasing does. Because you think about it, I mean, you're sitting there and they've, you can shoot this 9-point, but don't shoot this 10-point. They're close to the same size. And that was a confusing thing when he gave us the shoot and no shoot list. So, a lot of the deer I was looking at, the horn size of them were close.
Yeah. He's going by age at that point.
But you were going by the age of the deer, and trying to age a deer chasing a doe, not standing still. That's a pretty tough thing to do.
So what I heard was, okay, we got the list and we got the pictures of the don't kills. And then the guy said, let me simplify this. Don't shoot a 10-point. And so I was like, all right, I can count the 10 if I see one, but we're in the rut, so they're chasing. So it could happen fast, and you don't know. If that deer don't stop, there ain't no way you can know. All you know it's a big deer, big buck. I'm going to shoot at him. But we got in, so I said, all right, if I see a big 8, I can shoot him. Well, then they said, well, we got some of these 8s we want to live a year too. So I was totally confused.
You didn't even load your gun.
No, I did.
It was an ever-changing thing because we were trying to get the just there. When we're sitting around, we were having a few drinks around the fire and stuff, the first night we got there and hanging out. I think we cooked dinner or whatever first night. Anyways, they were cooking dinner and we were just kind of hanging out and trying to get, a grasp on what we
feel the temperature.
We're trying to loosen them up for just turn us loose.
And anyways, the guy the boy that was over there explaining all this to us, I kind of sent Malcom. I think I sent it to Jamie and Malcom. I was like, we're fixing to get kicked out.
We had our own little group
we're
text
not going to get to come back here.
Because Mark didn't get to go on that one. We're kind of telling you this story. We really didn't go deep about it. But you were back doing the bison process.
I was working.
Yeah, we went off on this trip. So we get there, like you said, but not only do they have this no-kill list of these pictures, you go in this old camp. It's an older house. They've just added on. I don't know how old the house is. Probably built back in the early 1900s. But you could tell it had been added on to. Well, they had built a trophy room on it. And I think, didn't you get a picture and we released it?
Did.
On,
we
was either on TikTok or Facebook, the community page.
I just did a quick, just pan over of that room and the heads that they had on that wall.
How many mounts did they have?
It was 50 or more, I think.
Up to 50, I would imagine.
And I'm talking about some studs, some massive deer that come off
there were 170, 180-inch deer. Some of them were, on average, 150s and 160s probably.
Yeah,
everywhere.
Easy. And that didn't include all the Europeans.
No,
and all the turkeys they had. I mean, this was probably one of the coolest trophy rooms I've ever been in. If you can imagine an old house with a big den with vaulted ceilings and a fireplace, and there wasn't a place to put another mount on the wall. Yeah. How big was that room, you would say? 20 by 20 easy?
Easily.
More
maybe bigger than that?
More than that.
Yeah. It was big. It was big.
But it was one of the most unique and just beautiful trophy rooms that I've ever seen. The way they had the ducks and the fish and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You can find that little short on
Full mount. They had one whitetail full mount, like full body mount. That was awesome. But seeing all those and then seeing the don't kills and then knowing we're going to this old hardwood river bottom on the Black River, which besides the Delta is probably where the biggest deer in the state of Mississippi are killed. I went in with this idea that, man, I'm fixing to kill me a monster.
You know what? I told Mark that, where we screwed up, we brought a cooler, 2 coolers, thinking we can bring meat back. We would have brought a cooler, we'd loaded truck up with stuff.
We probably would have.
Yeah. So, that evening we kind of got everything. We got just a row of pictures to, don't shoot. You can shoot these, don't shoot these, and looking at the pictures, like we said, horn size was kind of close to the same. There was some, a few little factors there that separated them from others. Like some of them had longer main beams and shorter tines. We knew we could shoot those. But anyway, so, we get out in the woods that first morning. Y'all got stuck on box stands, didn't you?
Yeah.
It was raining. Yeah, it was raining.
Well, it wasn't supposed to rain.
It was coming. We knew it was coming at some point. But I was in a box stand. Was you in a box stand?
It was like an older wooden, somewhat covered stand.
Shooting house kind
of?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you ended up.
I got stuck in a ladder stand. No top, no nothing, just a straight up ladder stand out in the middle of the woods.
Yeah.
And anyways, that first morning hunt, sun comes up. The first freaking deer that comes by me is a daggum 10-point. I mean, a tall one.
Yeah.
And I'm looking and I'm going through these pictures like trying. A doe must have come through before daylight because he was moving.
Yeah.
And he come out. He was about 100 yards from me when I first seen him. And by the time I got to about the 10th picture to try to identify this thing, he had passed me.
He was gone.
He was gone, and I found him. Well, he was on the don't shoot list, which I kind of did when he come by me about 20 or 30 yards. And I quit looking at the pictures at that time and just kind of looked at him and seen his body side. He's real slender and long, and his back was pretty straight. He didn't really have real big bulky shoulders, and like his brisket and stuff, like his neck was short coming down to the bottom of his brisket.
He was just a younger deer.
And I was like, he's a younger deer, so I know better than to shoot that one. So I felt better, and I was like, thank God, I feel better about judging the deer, but it's fast. It's so daggum fast when the doe has come. So now I've got this hot doe that's come through it. Hell, I didn't see her, so I'm like, well, the stink's out there in the woods.
Yep.
Anyway, just starts pouring down rain. I think the hunt's over. Jamie's texting me. He's got room in his stand. I mean, it's raining. It's a monsoon. And
like you couldn't get no more wet if you jumped in the
like,
creek.
Mikey, do we need to come get you? And I'm like, man, I'm not doing this.
What'd you do? You didn't have is there a top on that ladder?
No.
Mikey was trying to be like a
pulled my
bark on
hood
a
up
tree.
over my head and stuck my phone in my pocket. And I took my rifle and rolled I had an extra coat in my backpack and I just rolled it over the top of it to keep the water out of the gun. And I just sit there and rode it out.
Yeah, is that when the squirrel come out and looked at you?
Yeah. So it's fox squirrel. It was only me and the fox squirrel. Everybody's texting, come get me. The ones that wasn't in box stands, it's too bad. But anyways, I'm riding this out. And it's raining so hard. I mean, I got my hood pulled up over my head, and I don't have on no rain gear.
Yeah.
I just got like one of those mossy oak hoodies that I've got. And anyways, the water is beading off the end of my hat, just running off my hat. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking down, and this squirrel jumps on the tree in front of me. I mean, the next tree over, a big old fat fox squirrel, one of the biggest ones I've ever seen. And he's sitting there and he just looks at me, and he's standing there and he keeps looking at me. And I knew what that squirrel was telling me. You a damn fool to sit out here in this rain like this. And he ran off and went over and got in a knothole and just sat there and looked at me the rest of the morning. I'm going to watch him and see how long he lasts.
Yeah. I saw one too. I took a picture of it. He got up in the tree beside me. He was a monster, man. They got some booner fox squirrels there.
But that rain finally just quit. When it quit, wind died, sun popped out all of a sudden. So, now everything's glistening, and it was kind of hard for me. My eyes are not as good as they used to be. So it's kind of hard for me to see. And the sun's just got everything lit up, man. And, anyways, I see something moving out in the thicket out there. Well, I can tell it's a buck because I can see his rack from with my naked eye, and I'm like, well, here comes another big deer. You know, this is a really big one. He's bigger than the other one. And he gets up there. Well, I knew we could shoot 8 points and 9 points. And this big main frame, I'm talking about a thick horn, big beams, tall tine buck comes down through there. And I put the scope on him, and I kicked the safety off, and I was like, check that head one more time. So I flipped the safety back off. I looked at his head. I've seen the split brow on the back on the other side, or split G2 on the other side. I see he's got freaking 10 points.
Well, that was on the no kill list too. The split one, I do.
Yeah, because the split was one of the ones that was no kills.
Yeah.
So you saw 2 of them that morning that were no kills.
Yeah.
I didn't see a buck. That's it at all. The first day,
I had several small bucks come by. I mean, I want to say it was the second time I set that stand. I think I seen a pretty good 8 point. But
I killed a doe that morning because they wanted us to kill doe. That was what we were there for.
Yeah.
So I killed a doe and just left it laying, thinking it was, because there were deer coming through. Like I saw some little bucks, some spikes and stuff, but they were all on a mission. I mean, I didn't see any bucks that were just feeding or hanging out the whole time I was there.
Second morning, didn't you?
I killed one the other evening.
Yeah, second.
It might have been the second
morning.
Second morning, and then the next evening.
Yeah, first evening, I think, because that was the next morning. I told him, I was like, I don't want to go sit that stand again.
Yeah,
not because I was so nervous because I almost popped one of their no shooters, and he said, "Well, you want to do some doe patrol?" I said, "Yeah, put me in just put me where the does are coming to, and I'll shoot however many does you tell me to kill." And anyways, they did, and all their does it was button heads and 45-pound does, that came out. And anyways, so we got through with that morning. We were standing up there. I knew you had shot one, and me and Jeff were standing by the fire. We done built a fire, and he said, "Did you not see any deer?" And I said, "Yeah, I seen about a dozen, but none of them were, button heads." And I said, "Really, really small does." And I hear gravel crunching, and y'all are coming by. And Jeff goes, "Kind of like that deer Malcolm just killed right there." I said, exactly like that one.
I was killing something. I wouldn't come back empty-handed. I can't kill a 10 point, 8 point, or whatever. I'm going to kill me a doe.
No, I mean, we're not knocking nothing they were doing. It's just they was familiar. They could pretty much tell you every deer.
Oh, yeah.
18 or 20 no shooters. They could tell you everything about each one of them deer. And that's where you're a guest on somebody else's property, you're at a high disadvantage.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, we got enough sense to tell a mature deer from older deer, but
you don't know that herd like they.
Yeah, they could tell you exactly what deer was. You're going to see this deer out of this stand, this deer out of that stand, and it was overwhelming. I thought for me, but
I mean, they've been hunting them deer for years, and you show up on a Friday, eat supper, and you think you're ready to go hunt them Saturday morning. That's not, I'd be a nervous wreck too.
That's where the gar holes come in.
Yes. Stick me in a gar hole.
I mean, I understand if you're the property owner, you got to be real cautious. I mean, you know how it is at anything from fishing to hunting, whatever. You got somebody that's going to push the limit or take advantage of you or whatever. And I mean, I understand you got to be real cautious on your property to keep going what you don't work for.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get that side of it. I mean, there's those guys been putting in the work on that place. They know what, like you said, they know their inventory. They know where their bruisers are, when to hunt them.
It was still,
but it was fun. I enjoyed seeing that. Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I mean, it was frustrating, but it was also fun at the same time, if that makes sense.
There was two, I really like getting to see that old growth hardwoods. That's something that I never get to see.
Some big, where me and you was at, man, it was some monstrous, untouched hardwood bottoms in there.
And that was, I mean, I see it's the exact habitat you want to kill a big deer.
What was them fern things that were?
Palmettos.
Yeah.
They were everywhere.
Yeah, I've never seen woods that were littered with palmettos like that.
Big. I mean, it was.
Those deer would pop out of those palmettos, man. You wouldn't even see any deer, and it'd just be a thicket of palmettos over there, and just boop, there's a big buck standing on the edge of. It was one of the neatest properties that I've ever hunted. Just with the different, if you can imagine, like y'all said, I mean, just big open, mature hardwoods, but the ground's not open. Like the trees are sparse out there and spread out enough where sunlight's getting to the ground, but it's got cane thickets, it's palmettos, it's all this, thick looking stuff out there that when you step down, you probably can't see 30 yards from the stand. You can.
Yeah.
But not once you get on the ground, you can.
They had some good looking food plots, a couple of ones I hunted. I mean, you could tell they put in some work on not just relying on acorn drops from the hardwoods or what's growing natural. They were actually putting in some big food plots. So those deer are fed really well. I don't think I didn't see feed. Did you see feed? Did they have feeders on any of the stands?
I didn't see any.
I didn't see any on the stands that I hunted.
Well, yes, I did. I did see one.
Yeah. Oh, actually, so I got to hunt a really cool stand the last hunt, and it was their original camp. It was like an old single wide trailer that was down by the river, close to the river. I mean, it was their old camp, but they done turned it into a deer stand, and so they do a lot of hunts with the handicap hunts, super hunts, and stuff like that there too. So this was one of the old trailer that was the camp. They turned it into a big blind. And I'm talking blind. I'm talking about 3 bedrooms. You got a blind in each bedroom. So we hunted at the bar in the kitchen, and they had a feeder out there, so you could feed. And I killed another doe. He wanted me to kill another doe at that place. I guarantee you we're going to kill one here. And I said, well, and we did see a 6 point.
Y'all had a TV and everything in that thing.
Yeah, there was a TV in there. I mean, it didn't have, I guess they run it off generator power.
Generator over there, yeah.
They could turn it on and you could have lights and everything, but we were creeping around in the dark. But you had to kind of shoo the rats away. If you're averse to rats, you might not want to be in there.
You don't want to spend the night there.
It might have been a little sketch. When it got dark, you hear footsteps everywhere. Yeah, but it was still really cool. Another thing that I found that I really liked was they creep around, Mark, on those electric Polaris. Dude, you talk about quiet.
Yeah, they had a couple of newer, the Kinetics and the older, just regular electric.
First generation. I liked them a lot, man. You talk about easing through the woods. If you got your electric buggy, now I don't know I ain't seen many of them, but they're fast too.
Yeah.
Man, I've learned. So between going to Alabama and then us this weekend, I love hunting off my e-bike, but there's some places you just can't get in and out. I mean, the hills are too much, or
it's muddy
or rocky. Yeah. Man, I understand being stealthy, but at some point you got to have common sense. This ain't real smart going down this hill on this bike,
Yeah. Oh, there was a few times over here when you went down the ditch, or down this hill right here at the camp. It's a gravel road, but when it's slick,
you just got to be easy.
Yeah.
When it's snowing, it gets a little sketchy.
Yeah.
You break off in an old death wobble with a rifle on your back. You panicking.
So that was one of our trips that we took down in Mississippi. Now, Mark, we got a video coming out. You did a hunt to table.
Yeah.
But you went over to Alabama. Was that where y'all killed that?
No, that was here.
That was here. But talk about going to Jodie's place.
So we went over to Edna, Alabama. A good buddy of mine, Jodie Morgan, and his wife Rachel. Her family has some property over there, and they got a old camp house. It's just an old deer camp, tractor shed, and super, super nice. But we went over there, and I kind of we've gotten away. We talked about that this weekend, is in my opinion, if a kid or anybody is born after 2000, did they ever get to experience a true deer camp? Because where we were at we grew up in an old school deer camp, so going to some of these places kind of brings that back, and, it brings back a lot of memories, and you get to enjoy it. So we went over to Edna, Alabama, and if I'm going, I know we talked about this, I'm not worried about shooting a deer. If you want us to shoot a doe, I'm all for it, but I'm not going to go out there and try to shoot your bucks, unless you just want me to, and you're going to sit in the stand with me and say, I want you to shoot that one. I'll do it. But we went over, I was going to shoot a doe, or really I wanted to shoot a hog because they're ate up with hogs, and just hung out, fellowship, hunting the stand a couple of times. And that's another thing. I enjoy hunting by myself, but if I'm going to somebody else's property, man, I have a ball sitting with them. Me and you've hunted together a ton of times, and it's just it's a comedy show. It is. I know why we don't see nothing because we don't shut up, but it's a good time, So that was kind of that weekend, and just getting to see, their kids grow up in that atmosphere, and, see that they truly enjoy the deer camp aspect of it. They're out there terrorizing the driveway and woods with their bicycles and just having a good time. And being kids. Yeah, And, we'd go out and ride the four-wheeler during the day and check on food plots and stands and do a little work or whatever, but that was deer camp. So that was kind of what I enjoyed out of the whole situation more than anything.
What was the terrain like where y'all were hunting there? It was down South Alabama.
Yeah, it was, we went down through Meridian, West Point, and all that, and it's a little bit further south, but it's sandy,
hilly or no
pretty
hills?
Good hills, but it wasn't, it wasn't like where we was at this weekend, but sandy, and they had some of it was clear cut timber. They had some tracks that the timber had been cut, but a lot of it was pines, a lot of good old hardwoods. It was just a little bit of everything up there. Yeah.
But what you prime deer habitat?
Oh yeah. You could easily, man. That's what I was telling Jodie. I said, I know it takes work. I said, but man, we spend a couple of weekends over here and really get the food plots dialed in. I was like, this would be an awesome, awesome place. And it still is, but you know, when it's 4 hours from home, it's hard to do that stuff often, you know?
So when y'all are going to these other places, when you're sitting in the stand, are y'all sitting there thinking about, man, I would do this?
Oh yeah.
With, we can put a food plot in here, or plant this. They need some corn. This field needs to be corn or whatever, and leave it standing, or beans or something like that.
I do. And then as many places we've been the last 2 years, looking at people's, what they call food plots sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. What they call food plots.
I don't know if I was just gar holding some of these places or what, but there wasn't much of a food plot out there, man. It looked pretty bad. Yeah. It didn't look nothing like what we got.
No. But that is a cool thing. Like, you think about it, man, when you could go into somebody's camp and you could share your knowledge, or they could come to your camp, and then you could, so you're basically learning from each other. What works on your place may not work on ours, but you can see how it works here and the principles behind what we're doing. Or we could go over in Alabama and see what they're doing, see what their dirt's like, and, get an idea of like how they've got their woods mixed, or what are they doing to hold deer, to build habitat. I think that's a great idea.
And that's, that was kind of what the deal was we done when me and you went to that early Arkansas hunt. We went over and hunted with those guys. We talked about that, about hunting with them and stuff. But our main reason for going over there was for us to be able to look at, their property and kind of give them some ideas about what they could do, what they couldn't do, and we invited them over here, and they actually came over here one week, for a few days, and they didn't even care about killing the deer. They just wanted to see, they wanted me to explain what we had done here and how they could implement that on their farm.
Yeah.
And they just really wanted to sit up there and watch the deer and see how they, reacted in the food plots, like with the corn and, the different plots that we have out here. And they were just interested in seeing that, and those guys didn't even shoot a deer over here.
Yeah.
Had an opportunity to, but
a couple of them fired some shots.
One of them did. Yeah, he did. He did finally. I talked him into shooting a doe.
But so that was, kind of like, besides us going, we've hosted people here, and I enjoy that aspect of it, because you're going to
learn.
Yeah, you're going to learn something, even, because in conversation, so you go sit in a stand with somebody like Mark's talking about, we can talk about the food plot, what we got going out there, what might be working at your place and why it's working here. And, how the deer are utilizing our habitat, how we've created bedding for them. We've created easy access, safe access to eat and stuff like that, stand layouts and all that. But we still get the fellowship part where we get to cook and show off. And that was one thing I think that we do really good at our camp, is the food. I mean, we got the food background anyway, so we're going to feed you more than anything. And when we go somewhere, we usually end up, eating pretty good.
Most of the time we eat good. And, it's the outsider's perspective. Even when we have people here, they might not be doing whatever they're doing that they're going to tell you about on their property, but they notice something. Hey, you ever thought about this? And you learn, and that's kind of what me and Daniel done this weekend, is we sit there and just talked about property, really, because their property where we were at this weekend is completely different than what we're used to hunting. I mean, it reminded me of when we used to hunt over at Abbeville and 30, when they'd come in and do them big select cuts and burn, and it was standing pines with sagegrass and thickets all in it. Like,
just big pine plantations.
Big pine plantations, and it's beautiful. And I mean, we've seen a ton of deer, but learning how to manage that type of timber and that type of track versus what we have, we both can gain something from it.
Yeah,
100%.
I think a lot with that, when you get those big tracks, a lot of those guys do have some kind of timber management that they use. It's not just them doing it. So they're getting on rotation with burns. They've got so much of it being cut out, and they've got so much replant. They've got a lot of different area, and it's not always ideal habitat for growing big deer, but they still use their landings. And I bet you they got food plots, and I bet you they got other sources of food for them. And that's what holds those deer. But what did y'all notice about their land that was so much different than what we hunt? Was it just the pines?
A lot of big hills. I mean, you're hunting hollows, which is what I grew up hunting. I mean, we're over on 30. What you've hunted over there, it's big rolling hills, so it was similar layout to that. They had just had it select cutted this past summer, so a lot of fresh cut timber. You could see really good.
What the turkeys look like?
They there.
They there.
I didn't lay eyes on them.
We saw a sign though.
Yes,
yeah. They got.
We had pretty bad weather. I mean, it rained pretty good most of the first day. I mean,
all day pretty much.
Yeah, when we got there, we hunted in rain and didn't see nothing. Well, I think you seen some does.
Yeah, I seen a doe and a yearling.
But, it was pretty rough weather. Yesterday was a good day to hunt. Yesterday morning, a big fog come in, so it wasn't ideal. But yesterday evening, that sun come out, and they were on their feet. I mean, we had deer in the food plot 2:30. But it's sandy soil. So, I mean, that's something that I wanted to talk to Daniel about. I was like, what do y'all plant? What does well? And, hey, have y'all tried this? We were talking about doing vetch, but I don't know that vetch would grow there because it don't like sandy soil, does it?
It don't grow anywhere.
So maybe it will. We were talking about that because he was like, man, we hadn't planted anything that maintains the browse pressure.
Yeah.
And that's when we got to talk about vetch and, kind of what we did this year, standing corn, some of the vetch come up in it. I was like, you got options. And they got plenty of space to pick and choose. And I said, man, all these food plots, just try something. Pick that one right there. That's your test plot. If it works, great. If it don't worry about it. Do something else.
Don't be afraid to experiment.
Yeah.
Well, so on those places, what numbers were they killing?
I didn't ask him what they killed this year. They probably killed.
I know they kind of work pretty close with their neighbors about not shooting. They're trying to kind of like us. They're passing up several deer that 15 years ago somebody would have shot. Now they're passing them up, trying to get bigger deer on the property, and I think they are. It probably wouldn't hurt them to knock some does back on there.
Yeah.
That's everybody. Yeah. I had never heard of a place where like, don't kill does. I mean,
heavy browse pressure. You gotta get them.
That's right. Especially if your plots, if your plots are mowed down and it don't, most of the time, I mean, it's not because the ground can't grow it in Mississippi. Mississippi's got some good dirt. I mean, there's places where you ain't going to grow nothing, but most of the time you don't realize that you put all that money in food plot and you got little nubs out there. That's browse.
That's like mine at the house.
Put you some cages out there and watch what really grows.
And so that's what I was telling Mark. I was watching a YouTube channel I think it was Saturday morning or something like that at his house, or Saturday afternoon, whatever. And the guy was talking about the average property. I don't know how true this is, but average property, regardless of acreage, your food plot's only at the most 10% of what a deer eats.
Yeah. I mean, they eat everything. I mean, I saw a breakdown of it. You'd be surprised how much like bark a deer eats. Bark. I mean, they eat mushrooms. Like you wouldn't think deer eat mushrooms. A big portion of their diet is mushrooms in the woods. I mean, acorns is a big part of their diet, but it's not the only part. They eat a little bit of everything. It's a browse animal.
Well, that's what this guy was saying. He said, just say you got a property you can't get in, and because of your type of lease or something, get in and do tractor and food plots.
Yeah.
He said, put fertilizer on your honeysuckle thicket. Go out there and your natural vetch that's growing and work on that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you have to manage what is best for your farm, and it doesn't always work in every farm.
Yeah.
And one of the main things to do is managing that wild forage and stuff like that, from burning it and
run a fire through it, getting the leaves off the ground, getting that mid-story out where there's more sunlight on the ground and stuff. And, he was right. I mean, deer it's just like us, like what we present to them out there in those food plots. Sometimes they don't prefer that as much as they do what's inside the woods there. So they're going to eat that first. It ain't that you failed at the food plot or chose the wrong thing. They eventually probably will eat it. Well, so what I've noticed is they prefer stuff at different times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like they might let that food plot sit there for weeks. It's like, man, why ain't these deer coming? And then all of a sudden, I guess it gets frosted right. It gets sweet, whatever happens.
The best thing
they get on it and decide to wipe it out.
The best way I can explain that is like fruit.
Yeah.
Like when you go to, there's a fruit tree there. Well, you're not going to go up there and eat that apple when it's just green and hard.
Yeah.
You're going to let it mature out, and now it's sweet and soft, and that's where you want to eat.
Persimmons for fine example.
Persimmon the same way. Green one fall on the ground, and ain't much going to eat that green one.
When that dude
turns orange, it's over with. Yeah.
So something else they was talking about on there I wish I could think of who it was. Michael Waddell was on there talking, and how we've got hunting not the same. All right, for instance, we're guilty of it too. We'll pull out the phone, look at a game camera. Well, nothing's moving today. I'm not going.
Yeah.
Do you remember 10 years ago sitting out there not knowing what was on your property and
Not having a clue what's out there.
Surprised when you seen this or surprised when you seen that. And
I'm 100%. I know that y'all like looking at the game camera stuff like that, but what I wish we would do is like watch the game cameras and get our inventory, get used to seeing what bucks we have on the property, which ones, identifying the deer we're going to shoot, not shoot, and taking the game cameras off the property the rest of the year.
That's what he said. He said I got burnt out. He said he said I was losing my passion for hunting. He said I shut down every camera I had. He said I didn't get on social media and see what my buddy on his property is killing next door. He said it was. Yeah. I went back to like it was 20 years ago.
Well, it makes you think.
Makes you hunt.
Was he riding around for 3 days with that buck in the back when he killed it?
Yeah.
That's what they used to do 20 years ago.
Yeah.
He hauled that joker around, showed him all over town.
And he said he said I'm in the industry, and he said it's partly my fault, part of social media fault. He says part TV fault. That there's no reason why a grown man go out and kill a 6-point.
And I'd be fired up.
Proud of it.
Oh, yeah. And then people rip him apart when you post it on Facebook.
Yeah, you put it on Facebook, I killed a 150-inch deer. The average guys look at it, that deer, they mismeasured. They don't measure 100. But why knock
either
the guy?
That, or you killed it in a high fence, or you killed it illegal some kind of way.
It don't matter what deer you kill, it's going to piss somebody off.
They're going to put you down. Yeah.
But why? I don't understand. Why?
You think everybody be congratulatory, like, man, awesome job. I mean,
I can remember I was high school. Looking back now, I probably would have been embarrassed of it.
That's why I killed those. They don't mess with me killing.
Yeah.
People don't talk too bad about
ain't no spray on the doe.
He should have let her go. They kill the little ones.
But no, so what makes, we visited camps. In your opinion, what makes a good camp a good camp?
Man, it's the people. I mean, yeah, you could say, oh, they got big deer or whatever. They got,
deer don't make a crap.
Whatever. No, it's the people. To me, it's the people. It's
all right. For instance, this weekend, I'm not knocking this. I don't want it to sound that way, but this deer camp had used furniture in there. None of it matched.
It was deer camp.
It was a chair over there. Everybody's like, that chair sucks. Man, me and Mark, I would have bought that recliner home with me. That thing sat so good.
It was just like the camp that James Parsons used to have when you click the feet back, it would ratchet.
Oh, yeah. It might go all the way back.
And your head might be on the tile floor behind you, but man, it slept good.
And we didn't have no $100 dining room table. We sat at a homemade picnic
2x4 picnic table
in the kitchen. And granted, they got to step the game up on the breakfast, but other than that.
What'd y'all have, honey buns?
No, they don't cook that's breakfast. What they do. Oh, Mark wined them and dined them and won them over.
You put gravy. Biscuits and gravy on them. And
I was like, I ain't going to a deer camp not cooking breakfast gravy. Like, not doing it.
No, if we'd had melted cheese, they'd have been in a coma.
I told Jamie, we pulled in, we rounded the drive, and it was an older house, and they were all standing on the front porch. That was the telltale. When it's like you was when you was a kid, your best friend's coming over and you're looking out the window waiting on them to get there. That's what every one of them guys were doing.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this is going to be good. And we pulled in. It was old cedar, almost like an old smokehouse skinning shed.
Yeah.
And had a little storage building on it. I mean, they ain't going to tell them how old this building was. And I was like, that's a freaking skinning shed. Like that. That's it.
I mean, as bad as I hate it, I'm spoiled by it. It wasn't no electric winch in there. It was an old raglan cabled boat winch.
Oh, you had to use a hand.
Yeah, I got blisters on my hand today.
Yeah, we used to all that kind of stuff.
That's all I ever had. I never had a winch till we got one here.
Yeah.
We always had, heck, most of the time it wasn't even that. You had to pull
rope and a pulley.
Yeah, rope and a pulley.
You had to put the rope under your ass and sit down with your body weight and then cinch it up like you was climbing a mountain or rappelling off a mountain to get the deer up.
We just tie it to the 4-wheeler and pull it up pull it over a limb or whatever you're at.
But to me,
we didn't have nothing fancy.
The deer don't matter. If you don't see nothing, it don't matter. It's that time of getting up in the morning, everybody fixing their coffee, finna go to the stand, or no, the old man gets up. I just fixed breakfast for y'all today. I ain't gonna go. That is camp.
That is. I mean, and that's what I think it is too. It's that fellowship and the people. That's what make it. And coming back after the morning hunt and having the breakfast, and then getting you a little power nap before you go get back in the stand in the evening, and then the whiskey drinks in the evening. I mean, that's camp. The
telltale sign.
I'm not trying to say.
If you don't walk and go pee out the back door or the back porch or off the porch, it ain't camp.
It ain't camp.
Yeah, I don't think none of us peed.
We didn't pee in the house all weekend.
We all pouring down rain up, walk to the back door and just do it there. You can talk to your buddy on the couch. Yeah, you're peeing out the back porch.
Well, all right, Abbeville. Where did everybody go pee?
Off the
I
back
always
porch.
pissed off the porch.
Yeah, walk off on the porch and pee.
I still do. We got 3 bathrooms here.
We got a neighbor right across the street knowing they'd have seen everything.
The next thing is what me and Mark both noticed. As soon as we walked in, it's a little bit small kitchen, but a cutting board or
a chopping block cutting board
island.
Yeah.
We always had that as a kid. We had Daddy made one when he built the house, and when he built Mom and Daddy's house. Where's that cutting board at?
Like on wheels that you push out, or it just stands there?
It's just a end cut chopping block.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's like 3 foot by 3 foot. Just
where is the old one?
Abbeville?
No, that's the new one there.
You had something else there you wanted to get in Abbeville.
I want the
skillet.
stove.
I want the stove and the skillet.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Because the stove is
our great granddaddy's.
Yeah, it's like 4 foot long. It's our great grandparents' old stove with a warming drawer and all that.
It was the Viking kitchen stove of appliances in the 1920s.
In the 20s.
Yeah,
probably so.
What did they call that? It wasn't a. It was like a. Yeah, but it wasn't just a stove. Didn't they call it like the kitchen center or something like that?
Yeah,
it's got storage for pans.
Yeah, it's got the different stuff to it. It was more than just an oven and a stovetop.
I need to go get it.
I need to talk to James.
Because they had that, and they had the thing that would sit beside it. It was like the bacon center.
Yeah.
And it had the old flour mill in it. Did y'all ever have one of those?
Yeah, this one don't have that. It's got, it's almost like a proofing oven built on one side. It's right by the oven, and it just keeps everything warm.
Man, if you could get that and refurb it, that would be really
It works
cool.
like a champ.
It still works.
It ain't nothing wrong with it.
It's like you don't have broil. You got take it out and put in the bottom.
You just go below the burner instead of above it.
Yeah.
So we went from going to camp style deer camps and visiting to going to probably one of the fanciest ones I've been to in Alabama. The Willow, what was it called?
Willow Oak Lodge.
Willow Oak Lodge. And Jamie, you missed that one. Mark went on this trip. So, and me and Mikey had been before. We went last year, and this year Mark got to go with us. What did you think of Willow Oak?
I mean, I had to take my shoes off. It was way out of my league.
What deer camp have you been to? You got to take your shoes off. Or at least you felt like you were supposed to take them off. I didn't see no rule, but
it's a cool experience.
Yeah.
Because you get to see stuff. You get to see what, other people's property. And this was a super, super nice place. Like once in a lifetime type deal. I'm going to be honest though. You don't feel comfortable because you feel like you're going to mess up. Everything's so nice. You feel like you're going to mess something up.
Yeah. I could see that.
Like I'm grateful and I enjoyed every bit of it. I would go back tomorrow, but it's one of them things like everything's so nice. Like you don't want to be the guy man, he got dirt on these freaking hand sanded cedar floors or whatever we're walking on, like I was a nervous wreck.
Yeah. We did stay in a cabin there. And I think that was the first place that he had on that property.
Yeah.
So it wasn't as posh, I guess you would say, as the main house. Now the main house.
Yeah, you go to the main house, you step up to the
5-star.
Yeah, 5-star.
Definitely.
It's
full commercial kitchen.
That whole business is designed around 5-star stuff there.
Yeah.
Too, so where we were staying was just one of the older cabins that, was established when they first bought the property and stuff like that. And it was still you were talking about deer camp being the people we stayed with were freaking awesome.
I mean, my bathroom had a jacuzzi tub in it.
Did it?
Full shower. Yeah.
I had to share one with Mark and the dude down the hallway, man.
Oh, yeah.
So
I had the jacuzzi tub.
And I don't want this to sound like conceited or nothing like that, but I think, that is awesome because there's plenty of people that they want to experience that only have experienced the old school deer camp.
Yeah.
And that's like a vacation for them, and we've been fortunate enough in the last couple of years, we got to see some pretty freaking cool stuff. Mm-hmm. So we've seen all walks of life, all camps and, but I see where, if you've never got to experience that, man, that'd be awesome to go out there and shoot one of them deer and stay in that big camp house and you get wine and dine, dude. It don't get any better.
And you got to look at it the same thing. If you was somebody booking a hunt that you're paying for, what's the first thing you can look for? I'm going to look for where I'm staying at. It's going to have to be nice.
Yeah.
And
or decent or nice or just decent?
I mean, decent. Yeah.
I would say decent.
Yeah.
The most important thing to me, if you're going to book somewhere, and we've talked about this, it better have a good shower. You got to have a good bathroom if you're going.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I would say toilet and shower.
Toilet. I can deal with sleeping on a sleeping bag, but I want my throne to be nice.
What was the toilet y'all had this place?
Man,
that was a coffee can with pressurized water.
It was a toilet, but look, I'm 6'2", maybe 185. Like I'm not a big guy, and I couldn't fit all my stuff in the hole.
Not both ends.
One of them old tuckers.
You had to pick and choose.
Yeah, like the actual toilet. This is an old antique toilet. The toilet hole, you couldn't get your orifices all in the same hole. Like You had to do one at a time.
What was the seat like? Was it just a round thing?
It was a perfectly round one of them.
I think grossed me out.
Vinyl padded.
Oh no, it was like Aunt Edna's.
Yeah.
It had the shag carpet maroon cap on it.
No, it did.
Yes, it did. It was great.
Did it have the tank cover too? Oh, that's straight out of my granny's van. See, I hated that old cushy seat. You always stick to it when you.
Oh, and if it's got a crack in it, it's gonna peach the hell out of you.
Peach the fire out of you. God, I hate it. Why would they ever think they needed to make cushioned toilet seats?
Well, why do they ever make it out of something that's not sanitary?
I don't know. Yeah, because it don't seem
Let's
like
put a
it cleaned
cloth
very
on
well
top of a
either,
crapper.
Yeah.
But let me tell you what, that toilet made the experience that much better.
Heck yeah.
And
It was straight out of the 60s.
I think that's some pre-60s.
Yeah.
Really. It's like Generation 1 toilets.
Yeah.
First Ferguson made.
I think when this first made, you filled it up with a bucket, to flush
Oh,
it.
man. No, it didn't have no rope pull, did it?
No.
Where you had to pull the thing on the wall. You know what I'm talking about?
I come out
It
and I
just
said,
opens it up at the bottom.
That's all it does.
but no, that's what makes it. Stuff like that. Like the experience, like if you got old ragged stove and Mikey goes under the lights and burns his eyebrows off because the pilot light wouldn't, like that makes camp.
Oh man, we went to one. Now, this has been back. I shouldn't tell this story, but it was a deer camp, and we were going. I was in college, and I had my brother came up and one of his buddies. We were going to go to my buddy's deer camp. I figured we had a few days off of school or something. He's like, "Y'all just come down here." So we got down there, and they had a fry daddy. You know how you talked about the fry daddy? He had one of those, and we were going to cook steaks and taters. And man, we had this deer camp, and it'd been shut up for a little bit. There's wasp and stuff in it, I'm sure, but we were going to stay there. I had electricity, but there wasn't no TVs or nothing. And we got that fry daddy go, and we had it frying. And I guess the dude that was with us, his name was Brandon. He threw a bag of fries, the whole bag, off in his fry daddy, and all that grease came out and got up in the wall of that deer camp.
Oh no!
Oh man! And we had the fry daddy on fire. He burned himself up trying to get it out and just pitch it in the yard. We smoked this whole trailer up, and we're taking buckets of water and trying to throw them in the walls. We done burn it. We done burn this deer camp down. It's like I'm like, man, we're finna get in bad trouble. We finally got that thing put out. We'd smoked the whole thing up, and by that time it was way after midnight. We said, let's just. I mean, of course, we've been into them a little bit, having a big time. But we all said we're going to get our sleeping bags and just lay down the floor and go to bed because I mean, we was going to stay a week. It was going to be a while.
This is day one.
Yeah, this is day one. Man, we got in there and we all started trying to go to sleep, and the wasp came out, and they were all over us. I mean, all of us were stung. I ended up sleeping in my car outside. We got up that next morning, man. We was all whelped up,
Going home.
half the wall, the kitchen was burnt up. We
Still
said,
got
"Let's
4
just-"
days left.
Yeah, we went home. That was it. We about burnt that deer camp down, but that's a good, good time.
I mean, like yesterday, we got back from hunting, cooked breakfast. I didn't even take my hunting clothes off. Went over, sat in the recliner, kicked back.
Mark was snoring. He was out.
Oh,
Yeah.
Had that old gas stove or that gas wall heater going. Man, I was comfortable. And it's daytime napping at deer camp. It ain't many naps better.
No, it is a good nap. Especially if there's a ball game or something on. You
Yeah.
turn it on, just kick back. Not really interested in it. It's just playing.
So, what have you noticed about food traveling to different places?
Nobody eats like we do.
I agree with that.
Say that.
100%.
I will say that.
You always have something good. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's deer camp food.
I think everybody knows somehow. I mean, we wind up cooking wherever we go,
Yeah. Something.
and and sometimes we're way better than what the chef is. Where we
At the
got-
place. Yeah.
Not all of them, but
Yeah. Well, y'all did that on the thing. Y'all went and cooked. That was down in Mississippi too.
Mhm.
What was it?
That was at
Load them
Greenwood.
away with the hog. I mean,
That was another thing. That was a camp that I'm not going to talk a whole lot about it because it was pretty much a private event. But me and Jamie had the opportunity because of Daniel and them to go cook at a camp in Greenwood, and we cooked hog for a very well-known individual and several very well-known individuals. But it was their weekend away at deer camp, and it was kind of like we went to Alabama. It was a lodge that you see in magazines. I mean, beautiful trophy room that was just unreal. Kitchen. I mean, you
Private
name
suites for the hunters.
it. Yeah, like it was super, super nice.
chef on duty.
Chef on duty, and to see that style of camp and to get their stories. At the end of the day, it's still camp to them.
And that's what I can, for the, I don't know how you say the word, but for the people the well-known people that was there, and we're nobodies compared to who they are, we was treated the same as.
They just wanted to sit around and talk cooking and camp.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. I mean, it was nothing. There was no business. Their social life was not brought up in it. I mean, it was fun. It was definitely once in a lifetime experience I had as far as cooking goes.
Well, most people, when you do get across them, they just want some kind of camaraderie.
They want normal
without the ooh and the ahs and can I get a selfie? And you kind of breaking away from all that, and that's what you don't want.
Well, I think that's what camp is.
That.
Camp is that.
Yeah.
That's why we go and we do it. Because you break away from that routine, from the mundane, from the everyday life, and you get to just have a good time and be yourself and enjoy being outside, enjoy being around people.
I was told Mark this weekend, he said, you want somebody to hunt with you? And I said, I don't mean it, no disrespect, but that's me. I like hunting by myself. Yeah. That's where I unwind. And my brain's going 100 miles an hour, and I settle down and just, I don't know, enjoy it.
We got Jamie good.
Did you?
Oh, man. We, of course, Daniel got cameras and all the food plots. Well, Jamie was hunting the one, and I texted him, and he didn't respond. I was like, man, he's up there asleep. So Daniel texts in the group's like, shoot that doe or shoot that deer.
I mean, 'cause it's a camera like out in the food plot 100 yards from my stand.
And Jamie responds back, what deer? Well, we didn't know. Jamie had slipped out of the stand to go put some toilet paper down by a tree.
Nature was calling. It was time to get down.
And he got on the stand. He said he was hunting so hard. He had them knocks. He's like, man, I done missed a deer. It's out here in the field. And we didn't know he done got out of the stand. We were dying. We were laughing.
He's looking for it.
He was looking for that deer.
I was doing some serious scouting. I'm like, man, there's got to be another camera or something. There's no way. I mean, it ain't like I was down there a long time. It was the point he was getting down and getting done. It was business time by then. But
it's business.
It didn't. I had one of them happen.
I hunted harder yesterday afternoon than
down there in Greenwood or Yazoo.
Yazoo. Yeah, I left my Buck Junkie toboggan in Yazoo.
Luckily, I had some
emergency businesses meetings I had to take care of.
Yeah.
I did see something, which we have it. We just need to do a better job. A camp's got to have old cork board, bulletin board with pictures.
Yeah.
Got to have it.
We need to get one of those old Polaroid cameras.
I got an idea when we get out of this podcast.
I done pulled it up on my phone while I was down there. We're doing
really?
Yep. I got something.
You still get them, right? Like a Polaroid to spin.
Yeah, they're expensive as all get out. But there's not a kid that's in high school now that knows what it is to do a.
When that thing.
Their selfie different than our selfie back then.
When that Polaroid spit that thing out and you shook it and you took that Sharpie marker and you wrote on there, Mikey Dyer, November 27th, doe, crooked tree.
We got to make a point to do that every time we shoot something.
So we need people to send us their deer camp bulletin boards and
that's a good contest.
Best deer camp bulletin board.
Let's start that for the next contest. We want to see your board.
Yeah,
we don't. You ain't got to focus in on the pictures too much, but
I don't care what's on there.
We want to see where you got it, where you got it hanging.
What you got on it?
I always like going in old bait shops, and even Sports Warehouse still has the board. You go in there and you'd see what people. Because you didn't have Facebook and all these social sites to see what people shot.
Me and Brad was up there the other day at Sports Warehouse. Like, man, they need to update this. Pictures on there from like 2013. People need to start putting pictures on the wall up here.
We're gonna start taking them back up there.
Yeah, let's get us a Polaroid and start carrying pictures.
Do you have to tell them, or can you just take your own thumbtack?
You just put it up there.
Just put it up there.
Yeah,
I used to have a picture up there somewhere a long time ago.
She's probably still up there.
Probably still up there.
Probably still is.
There and find them.
Yeah.
But no, it would be. If we done it for 1 year, went back old school, what it would change?
Oh, yeah, it'd be cool.
I mean, I'm saying it, and deer season almost over, and I just put 3 new cameras out. But I mean,
hey, I got a new Moultrie I'm fixing to try out. I'm just gonna name it Turkey Cam. See what I can find. Try to find me a roost tree.
It's been different, and I tell Gage and Will and all them, like y'all don't know. Y'all don't understand what
it's
deer.
It's just as much our fault.
It's our fault. I mean,
well, I'm gonna say of the camps I visited this year, and I don't know if Mikey feels this way, but the coolest one was probably the Arkansas camp because it was the closest to actually. You were like camping. I mean, we stayed in campers, and it was just like a corral of campers, and it was like they had the old lodge, but that building was so old they didn't stay in it no more. It was the kitchen and the commissary. Yeah. But you didn't stay in there, and when you sat around, it wasn't about watching TV or anything like that. I think they did get something hooked up where they could watch a ball game, but it was about the conversation, hanging out, just the whole thing centered around a camp, and that's what it's like. I mean, we don't really get that as much here because we got a house and all that. We take a lot of it for granted. I'm sure it's not like we're not camping.
Yeah.
Here, you know.
Yeah, 'cause most of those was just, and they have a wide range of age groups in that camp too.
Yeah,
kids
generations
all the way up to 80-something-year-old men in there. But when you sit down and you perch up around in a circle and you're done hunting for the morning, you talk about what you've seen, and then here comes the stories. They start talking about stuff that happened back 30, 40, 50 years ago. It was interesting to just sit there, and not say anything and just listen.
Just listen. Yeah, no, just listen.
Yeah.
I mean, I that's how. I mean, when I think about hunting and being around camp, that's where I learned, was listening to the old timers talk and keeping my mouth shut. We learned. We wasn't the one trying.
It ain't no telling what you learned. But you learned.
Yeah. Oh no, exactly. Learned how to drink whiskey.
All be hunting
and lie.
Well, there's so many lost stories that's going to leave with those old men.
Well, see,
once they're gone, those stories are lost if you didn't listen.
That's right. Well, that camp, I mean, it's so big, it'll remind you, like, the only other thing I can compare it to is this camp I used to go to in Kosciuszko was a big dog camp. And Jamie, you, from being in running clubs, you probably can recognize that. That's what it's like. Well, it's kind of like
That's what it started out as, too.
Yeah, it is. But it'd be kind of like Hard Point if everybody lived on top of each other.
Yeah.
Like you were just staying in trailers. And that's what theirs was, just a big dog club, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of like that. So you got that real camp atmosphere. It's not just one group of people. It's multiple families, multiple generations, all hunting and
all over the
same
state.
land. Yeah.
Different areas.
It's more to it than what people see from the outside. If you've never experienced it, you can't explain it to them.
No, and I think that's the call of deer camp too, or hunting camp.
I mean, that's the same thing like me and Brad was talking at the Arcabutla hunt. Man, them guys, they want to hunt, they want to kill a deer, but after the hunt's over and they're sitting around that fire pit till 2 or 3 hours after supper, that's what them guys look forward to.
Yeah.
And it's either jokes or picking on them, or you're always doing. It's just old school kind of feel.
And I think that's what's so good about it. What was y'all's favorite one y'all went on this year besides being here?
I mean, mine was in Arkansas. I mean, could have been a little cooler than it was. It was 100 degrees when we went over there. But, if it wouldn't have been for that would have it'd have been really, really awesome. It was still awesome, but that was a little unbearable at times. But yeah, that one was really cool.
So you went to 3. You went to Alabama twice and Mississippi a couple times. What was yours?
I'd have to say where we just got back from.
The Greenwood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As far as old school deer camp, yes. And I get the pleasure to go with Darren to Hardin Point some, and I love it over there. Everybody kind of gets together at so and so's cabin at night, and it's kind of the same thing. You sit there and somebody, you got a big meal cooked for everybody, and you hang out. But
I've been there once, and that was the same way. I got the same feeling there.
Yeah,
and I got the same. Well, that one's unique because you're on the river club.
Yeah,
there's just nothing like it. I mean, as far as like the land and the woods and all that, I don't know if that club on the Big Black.
You're not going to beat that one.
That was probably the prettiest woods I've ever hunted in my life.
Which the Alabama one we went to over with,
I didn't really hunt woods. I mean, it was just on the skirts.
I did.
You did?
Well, I was on the edge of the woods, but you could see, you didn't go on the ride that me and Mark went on either.
Yeah.
So we got to see the lay of the land, which we
I don't know if it was intentional.
We weren't hunting inside the fence. We were on the outside.
I got to see it at midnight, and it was very sketchy.
Well, yeah. when you're holding the brake and you're still moving, you're sliding down these mountains.
It was pretty rough terrain. Like, I wouldn't call that pretty woods and stuff.
It's pretty woods, but it ain't nothing you want to just hike up and down.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I mean, those old Clearwater creeks running through there with those rock formations on the side of those ridges and big old pretty hardwoods. Man, it was a beautiful place.
Oh, you'd have
It
fell
was
in
a
love
lot
with that.
different though from what we come out of that river bottom too. Though it's just it was just different scenery.
So if y'all had to pick one type of terrain you wanted to hunt in Mississippi, what would it be?
River bottom.
That's what I'd pick.
Yeah, hardwood river bottom all day long.
All day long, river bottom. Did you pick hills?
I don't know.
Man,
I don't know. That's tough.
it is.
I like them both. I like them.
River bottom's hard to beat though.
Yeah, but see, it's something about that river bottom when you're right there on the bluff of it. Like when you're on that last ridge before it drops off in that bottom, to me, like there was Mikey had to stand down in Abbeville. It was like that. It was on a huge bluff and it was a creek bed, river bottom right there. Man, you get up on that bluff and you could see 300 yards.
Yeah.
And it was just rolling hardwoods. And I don't know. Bottom land is fun hunting though.
That's all I grew up. I mean, growing up, we hunted hardwoods. That's all. I mean, that's all that was around us. We had a couple of agricultural fields you could hunt, but most of it was all hardwoods.
To me, the funnest to hunt is like some old CRP in the Delta. You know, sage grass and little short oak trees, and you got to be watching. You got to be, you got to be looking.
I mean, I like being able to.
There you go. I told you.
I like being able to see, but there's something about being in them big trees, man. And deer easing through there comfortable. They ain't that. Never, you know, we hunt a lot of food plots here, so it's wide open land. You know, we got some hardwoods, but it ain't a lot. But I've noticed on the stands we have in the woods, those deer are never like spooky as near as bad.
Yeah.
You know, they're calm moving through, and they come out the edge of a field. Them joggers are looking everywhere. I mean, they're trying to see what's after them. So it's different, but I mean, I like open shots, but there's something about those hard.
I like hunting different stuff, you know, and each one I think each one is unique and beautiful in its own way, you know, no matter what you're hunting or what you're in. I mean, you hunting those pines when it's snowing and stuff like that. They ain't nothing prettier than that, man.
That's true.
You know, but you know, like over in Alabama, those rock formations and stuff like that, those clear creeks. That's something that we're not used to, you know, and they're steep mountains.
You did text me. It's like, man, I got this creek to my back running, and I'm looking out this plot and got the hardwoods up the ridge.
Didn't see a single deer.
Colin Gar hold me, but hey, it was still pretty scenic.
It was scenic.
I think
I sat with my back to the railroad track in a road and watched armadillos. That's all right. I got me one of them the next day.
But the land, you know, deer camp is deer camp, and going to different places and the experiences you have, and you know, the evolving part of deer camp. You know, we're always trying to make something really nice or build something really nice, you know, and sometimes it kind of loses that feel of
deer camp.
You know, deer camp.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and it does down here sometimes. You know, it feels like home. This is like second home.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it
ain't
like.
Camp as much as it is.
But it is camp, but it's, you know, sometimes we don't utilize it like that. You know, we're not really pissing off the porch or nothing down here. Malcom probably is.
I am.
I'm going to start doing it now.
Yeah, you can.
So make sure I ain't by y'all's bedroom window when I do it.
Behind the fireplace over here. That seems like that'd be the place.
Oh, it's got to be off a wooden porch, and you got to be at least 10 foot off ground.
Oh, you want to be up in the air.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, I say the year that we hunted all down here in the cook trailers.
That was like camp.
That was like camp.
Fire pit.
I didn't get to enjoy it much because I thought I died that year, but that was fun. And just prime example, Waylon dumping 3 mags at that deer opening morning, and then coming out here to sight his gun, and he dumps 3 again at the target.
And I'm there using a bathroom. I'm like, it sounded like he had a full automatic. What the?
Bump stock.
They can say
on a Jam-O-Matic.
They can say Remington will jam up. His will not jam up. That's guaranteed.
Mark had cleaned it.
Dude, it was pieces of glove and that gun. It was so nasty. But stuff like that is what makes a camp what it is.
So we got an idea for our next contest. We're going to we'll put out kind of the rules on it or whatever, but it's going to be a picture of your bulletin board at your deer camp.
We'll post ours to get it started.
Yeah,
we'll post one up right now just to do it, you know.
Yeah. If you don't have one, start one and take a picture of it. It don't, you know, but
you can send us the
make
very
sure you
first
look
picture.
for the post on, you know, if you're going to send it, look for the post that we do.
Yeah.
On Facebook or, you know, on our Buck Junkie Outdoor
We can
Club.
pin it to the top.
Yeah, it should be on there. So if we're going to give away something, make sure you post it in that and not just loose.
Not randomly. Yeah.
You can post it out there just randomly if you want to, but for you to be able to be in the contest, you have to post it up under there. And it's good to get, you know, people that you know to comment on it.
Yep.
Extra points for floppy Polaroid pictures with the date and stuff written on them.
Yep. Especially if you got an old classic.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's gonna be coming soon. So you find out what's the name of that community, Mikey?
Buck Junkie Outdoor Club.
Buck Junkie Outdoor Club on Facebook. Y'all go check it out. We'll be giving away something cool. I don't know what's going to be yet, but we got some ideas this year. We're going to try to run one of these several times. So
yeah,
y'all, thanks for joining us. A great place to hang out, share what's going on at y'all's deer camp or anything you want to share. Feel free to. If you got any questions for us, ask them there.
Yep. It's been more younger hunters.
Yeah, a lot of them. I love it. Yeah. Well, Mark, you want to take us on out? That's going to do it for today.
Yeah, man. Well, we appreciate y'all listening again. Y'all check out all the Facebook page and all the platforms with our content on it. If y'all got questions, you let us know and shoot us some suggestions, and we'll see y'all next time.
All right, we gone.